Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ambition, a minuet in power. So, after I finished the last episode, I went and looked up minuet, and according to Google, it pronounced it for me, and it pronounced it as minuet. And that's apparently some traditional old timey dance. So, this is. So, the title is indicative of a I guess our main character Yvette playing the game, dancing around the political and social sphere to gain power, and that is her ambition. I wouldn't have thought that she would have had a lot of ambition considering she came here to Paris uh, out of love and not specifically for power or anything like that. But I think that gives me a little bit more insight into what the game is supposed to be, and it kind of explains this credibility and peril score, because when you're going for power, there is always some kind of danger or something involved. So, I guess I have a little bit more of an understanding of what the intent or where the storyline is progressing toward. Anyway, we were Yvette. We came to Paris to come and be with our betrothed, our fiance. We got dropped off at a what did they call it? It's not a cafe, maybe, I don't know, but we got dropped off at what seems like a country club or something, and he was nowhere to be found. Ended up we, as a country bumpkin woman, grabbed all of our bags and walked over to his residence because we received letters from him, and only to find out that despite being a baron, he seems to be barren in money. Yep, that's right, I said it. Anyways, this is the servant after the morning, and we will continue our approach here. And this is Camille. Early the next morning, Camille approaches you, occasionally wringing her apron with her hands. She's obviously nervous. Madame, there's something you should know. Taking a deep breath, she continues. You're expected to attend a party the day after tomorrow, held by one Viscountess Marcel de Foix. I mean, Armand replied to the invitation, but you were to be his date. Okay, so we still haven't received any information about Armand. This was the fiance, the one that Yvette came to Paris to be with. And he, as a baron, got this invitation to a party, and I guess he had, what is that, reserved with a plus one being his fiance. And I guess Camille is asking or informing us of this situation. So we can either say splendid, a party, or what? Why didn't you tell me sooner? And what do you know about the Viscountess? I think Viscountess, I think that's how I've heard it. Well, maybe not this particular word, but this seems like the female version of the title I've heard, the Viscount. So I imagine this is either, most likely the wife of the Viscount, I'm guessing. Anyways, I think, considering, I think the best thing to do is to ask if we know anything about her, so we have more information about who she is, whether or not we need to be, turning down politely the invitation, or if we have no choice but to prepare for this. So we're going to go. I'm sorry, madame, but a viscountess, it just felt above my station, so I tried not to pay attention whenever she came up. Camille replies with a shrug. A shrug? You just shrugged off? Come on, this is during the time of an era where people were struggling with money and such. I feel like not not shrugging is probably the right move, but shrugging, that's, I suppose that's another way of going about it. I know that she never visited the house. Monsieur Armand seemed to like her, but from what I could tell, she was a little, how do I put this? Judgmental. She was a little very judgmental. I hope that helps, madame. Alright. Oh, so that was to get more information, and then this here is our response. I don't think we want to be mean to Camille, considering that she is the servant to the house, and she may or may not have access to us in a much more vulnerable state. I think maybe being nice or being respectful is the way to go. Although I don't believe nobility ever actually feels this way. But I think, in my opinion, it seems like the right thing to do. Plus, if you remember, Yvette's a country girl. She came in from the country, like I said. So she would probably be more apt to treating a fellow lower born, lower station, socially person with more respect, or at least on equal footing. So let's go with this. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to hear about this sooner, but at the same time, Yvette literally came in the last night, yesterday, and it was late, so how was Camille supposed to know that she was supposed to tell you, you know? So we'll be respectful and just, we'll go with this one.
Uh-huh.
Camille looks visibly relieved. Parfait! If you need anything washed or prepared, just ask. That reminds me, Camille exclaims. If you're going to a party, you should probably make sure you're dressed appropriately. Fashion moves so quickly here that people retire outfits before they even wear out. Yeah. I mean, even today, that's a thing. Like, if you're rich and you're trying to flex, like on Instagram or something, you gotta stay up with the fashions, and it moves very quickly, and it's so quickly. I've heard this phrase, this term called fast fashion, where fashion is moving so fast, you're just like, it just pumps it out. So like, you got a new outfit practically every day. So this doesn't seem like a new concept, and I think even in the olden times it was a thing also. So I don't know. I don't get it, but I know that there are people that this is their lives. At this proclamation, you can't help but notice that Camille's uniform has been repaired many, many times. I do see that it's kind of dirty, and it's probably not, like, in the best shape. But, again, it seemed that Armand was not, maybe not as rich as he might have been trying to make himself appear, or maybe he is just very terrible with his finances. Camille continues. Monsieur Armand was always going through clothes so quickly. He said that every outfit had a certain amount of novelty. Every time you wore them to a party, the novelty would go down a bit. In fact, even a little thing like wearing the same thing twice in a row could run the novelty out faster. Can you imagine? Fortunately, he knew the most delightful clothier on Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honor. She runs a shop called Le Petit Mogul. I think this is the Honorable Saint something Street? Faubourg? Is that fashion? Le Petit Mogul, that's the small business person? Or the little business person, something like that? I want to take a moment to just apologize for my French pronunciation. I am not French. I don't speak French. So please forgive me for that. I'll draw you some directions. Immediately, she starts sketching some directions, mostly just simple renderings of local landmarks. Le Petit Mogul is now available to visit in the Paris map. If you head out today, you should be well prepared for the party tomorrow night. Okay. So, you gained a level exhaustion by attending a party. Any levels of exhaustion that you have at the start of a party or a rendezvous will give you a penalty to your credibility. Worry not, for you'll discover ways to reduce your exhaustion soon. Okay, so what party did we go to? Is it this party? Because this is today, right? And then this is the party tomorrow. Viscountess Marcel de Fay requests the attendance of Baron Armand de Marbeau on 22nd of March 1789 to a gathering of her most loyal peers for entertainment and merriment. You are most eagerly awaited. Accepted. Alright, attending this party will give you a level of exhaustion. Ignoring it will cost you 5 credibility. And you will receive crown gossip? That's a new thing. Alright, well, I guess we'll go explore Paris. And then this is, yep, Le Petit Mogul. Where is the house? Oh, just return to estate. Okay. So this is a shop, as can be seen by the legend here. Got objective, incident, point of interest. So this is all we got so far. Le Petit Mogul, a small shop run by the dressmaker Fatima Shena. Spend your day here to buy and sell wardrobe items. So we'll visit. It's a long walk to Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré, but the trek to the narrow street is worth it. Every block hums with a vibrant energy bursting with life. Porters and social climbers wind their way through the streets, festooned with brightly colored parcels. Paris may be a city swimming in fashion and finery, but this is the source. This street is home to all the major fashion houses in the country, and to Rose Burton, personal dressmaker to the Queen herself. Wow! So this is like the street. I guess, in... what is it? In somewhere in Hollywood, in California, they've got the Rodeo Drive, and in New York, they have what is it? Fifth Avenue. So this must be something similar. And even the dressmaker to the Queen herself. And now you're here, back home. They sigh and dream of places like this, then quietly get back to their little lives. Not you. Your circumstances may be less than ideal, but you're still here. Le Petit Mogul, you mumble to yourself idly, trying to make sure you remember the name of the shop. Eventually, you find a small boutique tucked between some far grander buildings. Oh, so not unlike our own place, our home is a kind of shabby place between two nicer ones. You open the door and walk into the tiny shop, which seems even smaller due to how absolutely full it is. This isn't just a boutique, it's a workshop for whoever works here. Rolls of gorgeous fabric cover every available surface. A cloying smoke hangs in the air. The scent is pleasant, but wholly unfamiliar. I was just thinking, so apparently our fiance, Armand, I don't know if he's got a bad reputation, if something happened to him, but people were kind of rushing away from Yvette when she was asking about him. And yet, we're going here to spend money on a place where I'm assuming he spent a lot of, really too much money perhaps, on clothing at this place. I don't know that this was the best decision, but I guess it's the only place that Camille knows that he went to get clothing that was suitable for the places that he went to. Or presumably suitable. We don't know actually whether or not it was. I mean, he could be a shunned outcast based upon, his fashion. And maybe that's why everybody doesn't like him or he has a bad reputation. Who knows? The gasp. As soon as the door swings shut behind you, you hear a sudden rustling of fabric further in the store. A customer? Hamdallah! A surprising young voice calls out. Bonjour, madame, and welcome to Le Petit Mogul. A woman, presumably the owner, calls out to you. How may I help you? This is the owner. This is Fatima. That's the person that, I already forgot her name. Camille. That's the woman that Camille was talking about. All right, she seems like she's like, I don't know. What's the word? Gypsy? Is that a bad word? I don't know if that's a what they don't prefer to be called. I don't know, but she has that kind of look, you know. But she seems like she's cool peoples. I mean, she got a big smile on. She seems like she's nice, and she was really happy to get a customer. Let's see. I have an important party soon, and I need to look amazing. Oh, no tutorial. Actually, I do want to know what this smell is. But I think I do want to go through the tutorial. All of this is so new. What can you tell me about outfits and fashion? Mm-hmm. At those words, she looks giddy to the point of bursting, but tries to play it off as a knowing smile. This deception is only half successful. Yeah, there it is. She's got definitely, like, that knowing smile. Oh, I think I can help with that. Alright, so, select one of my lovely outfits to see if it's to your liking. Remember, my stock changes every day, so be sure to visit often. Okay, so we've got the conservative gown. Every faction in the game prefers different kinds of outfits. Dressing appropriately for the occasion makes people trust you more and increases your credibility. If you like it, you can click the purchase button to buy it. Holy cow, look at that. That is way more than we have. So this is good for the crown, I guess, because it's got 17 favorability here. But we do not have that kind of money. Novelty 100. Robin Chemise. Still outside of our price range. But as you can see, like, the different things here are making a change. Robe à la Française. Provincial dress. This is where we're starting to be able to afford it. I mean, we could afford this, but this is not good for the crown. And it's not good for the church, but it's good for all these other things. Provincial dress. You know, provincial dress, the term provincial kind of reminds me of that song in, what is it, Beauty and the Beast that Belle sings, because I think one of the words is provincial town, and it kind of just reminds me of that. And robe à la Française. Wait, there's two of these? Oh, there are two of these, but they're different colors. And the faction, it also makes a difference here. Okay, so I guess with the faction, I'm guessing that this makes a difference in our alignment for story purposes. So considering our very first event, the party is being held by the crown. They like conservative gowns. Sometimes they like caracal ensembles and robes à la Ponnaise. Yeah, but this is not it. But it is helpful that they tell you here, like, what the faction is giving you as far as points. And I don't know which way we want to go, but I'm kind of thinking we probably don't want to go, or actually maybe we do want to go revolution, because if this happens during the time of the French Revolution, you know, heads start rolling quite a bit, and that's the revolution. But of course, the bourgeoisie, they are the ruling, maybe not ruling, but certainly the privileged class. Military, church, crown. I'm kind of swayed toward the crown, because maybe we could get Yvette to pursue towards being, I don't know, princess, queen, something like that. But bourgeois also sounds like a good one. This won't do it though. But you know what? I think we'll go with this one because first of all, it is one that we can afford. And we can afford 3 dresses. And of the ones we can afford, this is the only one that gives any pluses to crown. So perhaps we purchase this one and we just go with it. We're not going to impress the bourgeoisie or the revolution, so I don't know, maybe that does start to limit where we are. I wonder if there's tracking as far as how we're doing as far as progress to whichever faction we end up toward the end. Like, maybe you can kind of adjust what you do, adjust what you say to try to get, I'm assuming, a different ending. I'm all making assumptions here. I don't actually know, but if they're giving you choices, I'm assuming that you can influence the ending. Anyways, we'll buy this one. I think it's a nice, like, it's a nice, relaxed and kind of, what's the word? I'm thinking, damn, I don't really have a lot of descriptive terms. Oh, you can sell outfits. Okay. Oh, this would be good for the military, though. But you know what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with this one. It has a couple things here. So we'll purchase it, I think. Confirm, yes. You've just spent some of your money. Livres are used to buy outfits, pay servants, and more. Try to make sure you always have some on hand. Oh, we've got to pay servants too. And other stuff. Okay, so this is also money management? Okay. Exhaustion level 1. -5 credibility penalty at your next party or rendezvous. Oh man, there's too many systems. There's too many systems. Okay. You awaken to the vision of sunlight filtering through the shutters, scattering sunbeams across this dusty bedroom. It takes a few minutes before you groggily remember the events that brought you here. You also remember that tonight, you have a party to attend. Camille enters your bedroom, already full of cheer. Madame, would you like to start getting ready? Okay, so option 1. If this is as important as the invitation makes it seem, I should start preparing now. Or, not yet, Camille. I still have some things that I need to take care of today. I can't think of anything that we would need to do. So this is a very important invitation since it goes toward the crown. So maybe we should just go with this. That's this picture, man. I don't know. It just looks so anime, don't you think? It like the giant eyes, the big exaggerated expression, and even the body posing is like really exaggerated. That's good to hear. These preparations always seem to take all day. On days where you have a party, you won't really have time to spend exploring Paris. Once you go to your wardrobe, we can get started. Alright, so I guess we'll do the tutorial. There's the no tutorial, but again, this is my first time playing this game. I imagine people often, I'm assuming, have multiple playthroughs of this game if they're giving you the option. I've never really done anything like this. Is there anything I should know? Don't worry, madame. A glamorous woman like yourself is sure to catch on quickly. Glamorous. Alright. Click here to go to the wardrobe. Oh. Okay, so just the button go to the party. Alright, so we're... Click on an outfit to select what you'll wear to this party. So we're going to wear the provincial outfit. Viscount Marcel de Foix's private gathering is an intimate gathering of her most loyal peers for fine entertainment and elegant merriment. You are most eagerly awaited. -5 credibility, but that's because we're exhausted. Now that you have an outfit selected, you can click here to go to the party. Okay, so we'll go to the party. When your carriage drops you off at the party, you find yourself waiting in line for quite some time. Looking at the other guests, you wonder if you're underdressed or overdressed. It's honestly hard to tell. While trying to determine whether you're underdressed or overdressed, you pause to consider how well rested you feel. Unfortunately, you can feel exhaustion set in as soon as you think of the full itinerary ahead of you. Tonight is going to be a long night. Credibility down! Now we're at 0. We're at 0. Being exhausted has given you a credibility penalty. You look over yourself one last time and confirm that you're wearing your provincial outfit to a party being held by the crown. The guests have no strong feelings on your outfit, and your credibility has not changed much. With preparations like this, the results of tonight could be a toss-up. While you're determining your standing in the world of fashion, you manage to overhear an interesting rumor while in line. You make a mental note of it just in case. You've gained a piece of cheap crown gossip. This will be useful later. But it would be nice to know what that was. Immediately upon entering the vestibule, you're greeted by a doorman holding a small ledger. While he isn't physically barring your entry, his manners certainly is. Nay, madame? He asks expectantly. I mean, we are not actually Baron Armand de Marbeau. He is our fiancé. But yet, we're not going to have our name in here. Should we give his name? I mean, it's really not... I don't think it's very respectful to use our fiance's name, especially when he's not with us. But at the same time, would he have put down Yvette's name in the reservation, or was it just a general +1? My assumption is if he was in close with the crown, he probably would have had to put a name in, so let's go with this. Yvette Ducas. The doorman looks perplexed at you for a moment, flipping through his ledger. I do not see your name here, madame. Ah. I am Baron Armand de Marbeau's date. He could not attend. Ah, that is most unfortunate, the doorman replies, surprisingly disappointed. The good Viscountess de Foix was so looking forward to seeing him tonight. Please convey our deepest regrets at his absence, our well wishes to his health. So everybody knows something about him, and there's something about his health? What is it that about his health? Is he sick, or is he, did something happen to him? Is there anything I can get you? Please convey my deepest gratitude to our hostess, and that I am eager to meet her. Would you be able to take this gift of wine to our hostess? Oh, but that costs 10. So we could bribe her, or we could just be, I don't know, I guess just nonchalant. I'm gonna go with that. Because look, we've got 14. Maybe this is something that influences her positively, or maybe that doesn't. Because if this is a party for the crown, I don't know that a 10 whatever livres wine will be anything that impresses her. But maybe it's the thought that counts. No, let's not bother.
Oh.
Oui, madame. I shall make sure that the Viscountess hears of it myself. You hear some murmurs from the other guests in the vestibule. Your gratitude and enthusiasm seem to have made an impression on them, though the doorman seems rather unfazed. You have gained a little credibility. Nice! Before you can ask any other questions, he bows deeply to you. That's probably extraneous. Pardonnez-moi, madame. Viscountess de Foix instructed me specifically to inform her as soon as you had arrived. We've heard so much about you. Why does your face look so devious when saying this? What have they been saying? And dude's teeth are pretty yellow. He must be a smoker. Enjoy the party, he says with a smile before leaving. Okay, so we can talk to these people, or we can talk to these people. And we get 2 chances here, so... What is this? The Royal Painter. Some guests are admiring a painting of the hostess. Apparently, it was painted by someone of considerable skill. In fact, you might even be able to meet such a person later. Huh. Okay. Let's, we have a chance to either increase or decrease our credibility, gain favor or not gain favor to the crown, and peril can increase pretty moderately as well. Let's see what this one looks like. So, we can either get more cheap crown gossip, we can reduce our credibility, and we can increase our peril quite more substantially. So that is quite concerning. The royal household. A pair of ladies are whispering amongst themselves about some rumor concerning the family of His Majesty, King Louis XVI. That information could be useful later. Ooh. How useful is the crown gossip gonna be? Is it worth losing out on the possible favorability here? I mean, there is greater chance, or there is chance for increased credibility and lower peril. So maybe we take this one, just kind of like, I'm not a big gambler, at least I try not to be. It's certain things are a bad habit, and I try to stay away from it. But I guess this isn't really gambling, it's kind of playing the odds, which I would say the odds hardly ever favor me, so I would hope I'd never to be reincarnated in the world of the Hunger Games, because the odds would not be in my favor. So that said, let's go with this one. Alright. In one corner of the party, you find 2 guests clustered around a painting hanging on the wall. They're talking in low voices to themselves. You pause to examine the painting yourself. It's a beautiful piece that shows the hostess standing in a field, posing with her dog. The eyes and lips in particular look marvelously lifelike. Do you have any idea how Marcel managed to get this? A man asked, his face the picture of shock, not taking his eyes off the painting for a moment. He must know the Viscountess of Foix very well in order to use her name so freely. I have no idea, the wind replies, glancing furtively around the room. Ever since Madame Lebrun started painting portraits of the Queen herself, she seems to feel that she's been above normal societal niceties. It must have cost a fortune just to make an opening in Madame Lebrun's schedule. You assume that Madame Lebrun knew much about social niceties to begin with, the man quips, and the 2 of them share a sly chuckle at the absent artist's expense. You'd think that someone who worked on commission would care a little more about what others thought of her. There is a point there. I don't know if they're reusing assets, but this kind of looks like the, what did they call him? The amorous guy at the, right? At the wandering, something? The first one, in the first video. I'm sorry, guys, I forget. If you've watched any of my other videos, I say all the time, my memory's terrible. The woman turns and asks you furtively, "Ah, what do you think of Madame Lebrun and her eccentricities?" Alright, so either this one affects credibility. Oh, it requires an easy credibility challenge. This choice will increase your peril by a small amount. Why would someone choose to do that? Is there a reason behind that? Personally, I've always admired her willingness to strain against convention. I think Madame Lebrun can be as rude as she pleases. Her skills speak for themselves. Not even great painters are above the consequences of society. Lebrun will have hers yet. So that seems not to do anything. We'll be nice, I think, and increase our credibility. Credibility may be something that is much more challenged later, because this one says it's an easy credibility challenge. Surprised, the man turns to you with a cocked eyebrow. Oh? You really think making beautiful work can justify her transgressions? Oh, so there is something specific about her reputation right now, and that is the credibility check. So I think he's questioning our statement because we don't know this person, and honestly, that's straight. He should be questioning because we're totally BSing at this point right now. She's alright because she makes pretty pictures. What an insightful defense, the woman replies with such fluid sarcasm that you almost mistake it for genuine compliment. Oh, you have lost some credibility. No, my hard-won credibility. After a period of awkward silence, the guests depart to explore the rest of the party. As they leave, you watch them whisper to each other and glance back at you pointedly. Well, that was great, wasn't it? Oh, Marcel appears. A woman in a staggeringly pink dress is approaching you, carrying her pet dog. Judging by the way other guests are looking at her, you can surmise that this is the Viscountess Marcel de Foix, the woman who invited you and Armand here. So, huge swing in credibility possibility, and quite a bit of possibility to be imperiled. Alright, so let's just go to it. It's the only one. You nearly mistake the woman standing in front of you for some kind of walking confection. A pampered dog lounges in her arm. I don't believe we had the chance to properly introduce ourselves. I am Viscountess Marcel de Foix. Her voice raises in volume imperceptibly, but it's enough to draw the attention of the large crowd in the room. Everyone, this is Yvette, Armand's fiancée. A murmur of interest washes through the crowd, and you can feel their eyes focus on you. I'm so glad to see you. Armand, that ambitious little thing, has told me so much about you. In fact, I'd say that he's quite infatuated with you. A common girl like yourself. You're so lucky. You have gained a little credibility. Oh, because everyone else is hearing her talk about how Armand has talked us up. So that restores a little of the credibility we lost earlier. Where is Armand, by the way? Oh, we don't actually know. Yeah, we don't have enough credibility to lie. That is the credibility check, guys. If we have credibility, we can just outright lie to people and they'll believe us. And that is the thing in real life. If you have a good rep, you can lie to people and they'll just think that you're just telling the truth. It's true. It's true. Anyways, that's actually what I was hoping to find out. Do you know where I could find him? Marcel stares at you, concerned and shocked. You don't know where he is, and yet you still come to this little event of mine? She gestures a hand at the most splendid party you've ever seen in your life. That is so kind of you. Of course I'll help. You've gained a little credibility. Yes, sir. After all, you've already helped me. How so? What have we done? Armand, that ambitious little rat, was always reaching above his station. Oh, dude, She and her little dog have changed their faces quite a bit. I don't think she likes Armand at all with this statement. She probably thinks that being betrothed to Yvette, as she said, a common girl, probably helped her in that now he has less standing socially. Always asking for people to listen to ideas that nobody should even dare entertain. His audacity truly knew no bounds. Her eyes are focused on you, but she's speaking to the crowd, who seem to whisper in agreement. Even the dog regards you with malice. Wow. Yeah, like her dog is like, you could just basically hear like the growling that's coming from him. Wow. Now, not only do I find out that he's a coward who's fled his fiancée and the consequences of his gall, but now I have this commoner who doesn't even know her place either. Wow. So we can either talk back to her and increase peril. I may be a commoner, but at least I know how to treat my guests. I'm guessing this means you don't know where he is. Then why did you invite Armand here? So we can be very passive, or we can just directly ask her why. I'm gonna just directly ask her why. We'll be a little naive here, but I kind of want to know. Why? While those craven naturalists in their dingy salons like to hide behind their pamphlets and newsletters, people of quality must be brave enough to denounce our enemies in person. She pauses before speaking to you in a whisper loud enough for the entire room to hear. Don't worry, I don't expect you to understand this. Lost our credibility that we gained just earlier. Your Armand is a conniving, traitorous opportunist who sullies the good name of the entire nobility just by being alive. The only reason he even chose a common girl like you to be his wife is because any lady of good breeding would see him for the weasel that he is. Oh man, lost even more credibility. Marcel studies your face intently for a moment, and her voice suddenly fills with concern. Oh, you poor girl. Don't look so hurt. Think of this as educational. You don't belong in Paris, the same way that a stray cat doesn't belong in that dress. She gestures dismissively at your finery. Oh my god. More credibility lost. We're done. Trying to look like us? Act like us? Stop. You're just embarrassing yourself. More credibility. Does it show going negative, or it just stops at 0? Now leave my estate and never show your face here again. Well, that went well. Before you can reply, a valet grabs you roughly by the arm and drags you away from the room. People like Viscountess de Foix don't need to do their own dirty work. They have servants for it. It takes far longer than you'd like to get outside, as the entryway is crowded with guests preparing to leave. You can feel their eyes weighing heavily on you. When you finally get to the door, you feel a brutish shove, and you stumble out into the courtyard, barely keeping your balance in your heels. The area is equally crowded, with various persons entering their personal carriages. You can hear somebody snicker, but you have no idea who it was. The only thing left to do is go home. Sigh, this has been a night. I'll just leave. And that's fine by me. My face was the only pretty thing in that gaudy house anyways. You know, I feel like being petty, honestly. We've been passive the whole night, and at this point, after, we've lost all credibility. Even if we had gained some earlier, it seems like we would have lost credibility at this point anyways. And at this point, I just feel like, especially if I were allowed to feel petty, then I would be totally petty. Oh my god, so petty. Boiling over with rage, you turn and rain insults upon the house, upon the host, even upon her dog. In fact, you consider throwing your shoe through one of their windows before you remember how much you like that shoe. It's then that you notice that several of the carriages have stopped just to watch your display. Scanning the faces of your new audience, you see the glaring, unamused faces of the various party guests. Your views on Marcel and the crown in general have not gone unnoticed. The coachmen and valets, on the other hand, think you're hilarious. Ooh. You've lost some favor with the members of the crown. You've gained some favor with members of the revolution. You'll meet these people later. You know, if we have to put up with Marcel again, I say screw trying to get in with the crown crowd. At this point, I kind of favor the revolution. You should be like, "Vive la revolution!" Down with the establishment. You nod to the more appreciative members of the audience before leaving towards your own carriage. When you arrive at the place where your carriage is parked, you quickly find out that it isn't. It's gone. You check to make sure that you're in the right place, but to no avail. The carriage you hired is simply not there. He went home, a passing coachman says helpfully, while adjusting the harness on a particularly grumpy horse. Dorman came out about an hour ago and told him you wanted the coach to leave without you. Seemed real important, so he went home. So, the doorman was a jerk and told the coach, "Yeah, you can leave. She doesn't need you here. Just go home." And he went home, which sucks. So now that even more, I don't want to be in and around Marcel. She can burn in hell, for all I care. Before you can even respond, he gets his carriage moving, leaving you alone with yet another indignity. Going back to Marcel is obviously unacceptable. It's too far to walk home, and most of the other guests have already left. However, there appears to be 3 other carriages waiting to leave, each one of them quite different. Perhaps one of them can help. Inspect the humble carriage to the left, inspect the bold carriage in the middle, and inspect the extravagant carriage to the right. So I think this starts to determine the direction that we go. Humble is probably the revolution, bold is probably the military, and extravagant might be the bourgeoisie. So I think I'm going to go with the humble. And besides, you know what? All these like hoity-toity people at the party were like really down on her. And I feel like, just finding someone common, like a commoner, not just like, common ground, but like a commoner will have common ground with her and actually understand where she's coming from. Not that I think that a commoner would have been invited to a place like this, because it seems like it was a miracle that Armand was even invited, but most likely to have made fun of him. Anyways, I'm going to go with the humble carriage to the left. The carriage to the left of you is of foreign design and features a gilded crest as its only ornamentation. This crest is emblazoned with a motto in Latin and appears to belong to a priest of some description. The church? Guys, I did not expect that. I forgot all about the church. The curtains are drawn, but someone appears to have lit a lantern inside. Judging by the occupant's silhouette, it looks like he's reading. You consider the humble carriage for a moment. Is this who you'd like to ride with? Let's examine the other carriages. Yeah, a priest should be willing to help the poor innocent woman like myself. Alright, let's inspect the bold one. The carriage in front of you is obviously being used by a soldier of some sort. The driver is leaning intently towards the passenger compartment, waiting for orders. You recognize the insignia of the Queen's Dragoons on the side of the carriage. It feels noble and proud, but also capable. You consider the bold carriage for a moment. Is this who you'd like to ride with? As a man of honor sworn to protect France, I'm the next best thing to that. Let me check the other one, the extravagant carriage to the right. The carriage to your right is richly decorated, yet somber. Swags of black crepe hang from the roof of the carriage, leaving only glimmers of the gold underneath. The decidedly feminine bent of the decorations indicates that the occupant is a woman, but all of the black suggests that she's in mourning. Oh, you consider the extravagant carriage for a moment. Is this who you'd like to ride with? Huh. So, a wealthy widow helping a lost soul in need? It works in the books. Who do I want to go with? I think I feel like I want to go with the widow. I feel like, having been stranded and left without Armand, and where the heck is he, anyways? Like maybe she would feel sympathy for us and actually help us out here. Let's try it. I loved that each of the choices had their own like little jingle at when we were inspecting them. Anyways, settled in your decision, you set out, ready to entrust your fortune to a mysterious stranger. The coachman pays you no heed as you approach this sumptuously decorated carriage. Normally, you find yourself to be quite fearless in social situations, but something about this whole scenario gives you pause. Should you knock on the door? Call out? You've heard the courtiers in Versailles grow out one of their fingernails so they can scratch on the door as it's considered less disruptive. Really? That sounds disgusting. Growing out one of your fingernails so you can scratch instead of like knocking? But then your nails have all this stuff underneath, and then scratching ruins the door, doesn't it? Locked in this cycle of indecision, you curse the fact that you cut your nails this morning. To be so petty as to like not like the sound of knocking, that kind of seems weird. What seems to be troubling you, madame? Calls a voice from inside the carriage. May I bother you for a ride home? My carriage left without me. Or, madame, my fiancé is lost. Our host denounced me and my carriage is gone. Can you help? I think we should go this way. Like the extra added context does seem like something someone who is in dire straits would go out to say. And in this particular case, it would maybe even bolster our sympathy. So let's go with this one. How tragic, replies the voice with a trace of amusement. What kind of person would I be if I didn't take pity on such a helpless soul? You have gained a little favor with Madame Gazelle. Renee, the door, please. With that, Renee, the coachman, hops down from his box and opens the door for you. He wears the same colorful livery of most servants, but is adorned with a black badge on his breast. You squint to peer at the woman inside, but to no avail. Between the swags of black crepe obscuring the windows and the lack of lanterns within the carriage, the entire inside is shrouded in gloom. A delicate, pale hand reaches out from the darkness to you. You take her hand and step inside. After a few seconds, your eyes adjust to the shadows, and you see the woman in front of you. She's older than yourself, but still younger than you'd expect. Dressed in luxurious mourning clothes, she reclines easily in her seat, clutching a fine glass filled with water. Are you sure that's water? I mean, it could be anything. With a really fancy carriage like this, I don't know. My name is Honorade. What shall I call you, madame? Well, she introduced herself with just her name and not like last name, first name. So maybe we should be equally as friendly and say just Yvette. S'il vous plaît. Just Yvette it is then, she replies with a shrug. Shall we be off? She knocks delicately on the roof compartment, and with the clean crack of the coachman's whip, the carriage makes way towards Paris. Well, I saw you a few times during the party tonight, and I know that you're new to Paris. We never had a chance to properly introduce ourselves. However, I did manage to hear about your most unfortunate run-in with our host. Why were they so dreadfully cruel to you? Yeah, apparently they're enemies with my lost fiancé and wanted to snub him by berating me. Or, please don't worry about it, I'll be fine. She was nice enough to give us a ride home, so maybe we should tell her what was going on. And I mean, it's not like it's not like it's going to hurt anything. We have no credibility, and like essentially we're in like really bad straits right now. So I mean, may as well. What else have we got to lose, you know? Honore doesn't speak for a while, instead choosing to stare into her glass of water with an expression of surprise and disgust. How vile, she replies, to find a person who has been beset by such great misfortune, then to mistreat them so, just to posture among one's cohorts. That is truly despicable. You must be quite strong to endure such dreadful treatment. You've gained a little favor with Madame Gazelle. Nice. She examines you intently while she sips her water. I assume you are already planning your revenge, non? I know I would be. Oh. So she's like very aggressive. Maybe not like outwardly aggressive, but certainly she plans ahead and gets revenge for sure. I wonder if that's part of the reason why she is in this dark mourning dress, like in the carriage, like if she's like, you know, mourning as in like a death. I wonder if maybe she had a hand in it. You know what I mean? After a long silence, Honoré leans over to the window and looks out through one of the few spots not obscured by black crape. Now, I'm sure you already know just how dangerous it is to accept rides home from strangers. We could be going anywhere right now, and you wouldn't even know it. You are slightly uncomfortable, probably because she's making a good point. You stop to wonder if you'd be any good at leaping from a moving carriage. Honoré interrupts your train of thought. But of course, the best way to fix that is by not being strangers. Ask me some questions so you may properly judge my character. Please indulge me. What would you like to know? Well, let's ask her how long she's been in mourning, because it seems that she's unbothered. She's talking very frankly, and doesn't seem like she's shying away from, like, not private, but maybe, or not personal, but like social interactions. She's not shying away from it, as I feel like many people in mourning do. So it may have been for a very long time. She sighs. That is a reasonable question, though not one I like answering. You see, as of last week, it's been 2.5 years. She starts off, as of last week, making you think that it happened last week, but it's been 2.5 years, my guys. 2.5 years. You maintain a neutral expression, but you can't help but dwell on the fact that 2.5 years is far longer than any prescribed period of mourning. You've heard of widows wearing a black weeper on their gowns for a few months longer than most, but this is something else entirely. You're very polite. Most, when they hear that, take it upon themselves to chide me for my breach of decency. What do you think? Is 2.5 years too long to mourn for lost love? So we have multiple options. One should take as long as they like, but they can't do it forever. Mourning has a set length for a reason. Life is for the living. There's something romantic about casting aside decency for the sake of grief. So, let's see. I'm gonna go with this last one. Like, you know, if it's truly someone you love, you know, does it matter, like, what other people think, you know, for your own grief? Because grief takes as long as it takes for each individual person, for each relationship that is lost. And true, there is something romantic about it that she would still mourn her lost love in even after 2.5 years. Obviously, she is still in that state, whether that's due to keeping up an appearance or whether or not she actually does still hold this love in her heart. I don't know, but maybe we'll find that out. I think so too, Honorade replies, her lips twisting up into a devilish smile. How can we say that we love someone if we're not willing to defy the rules of decency to do it? You've gained some favor with Madame Gazelle. Alright, you know what? It looks like this is the person that we're going to be getting into favor with. This Madame Honorade, she seems to gel along with what I think. And this might be the easier way, just going down this road, because I seem to think commonly with her. We yearn for a beloved that would do anything for us, and us for them. Yet, the moment we see a pair of lovers actually behaving this way, we tell them that they're sick or wicked. I'm glad to know you haven't fallen into that little trap yourself. Forgive me for being rude, but I imagine your next question is that you're wondering how I know our host. In fact, that is exactly the case. She's not wrong. To answer your question, which I so rudely stated for you, I don't. Not really, at least. She chuckles into her glass before taking a leisurely sip. Of course, now that I know what they did to you, I have no intention of getting to know that conniving wretch at all. Until a few years ago, I was actually quite the homebody. My husband's textile mills made more than enough money for me to live a life of leisure, which he was happy to let me do, though I'm sure he was frustrated by my unwillingness to attend all the big parties his clients would throw. Crowds don't really suit me, you see. I prefer more intimate gatherings. I feel you, Honorade. Like huge crowds, they don't really get me. I am much more a small groups kind of person. I will tell you that I am the introvert. And people would say, hey, you can't be a real introvert. I mean, you're posting these videos and, you know, you're more extroverted. But I'm like, you know, introverts, the idea of them being like shut-ins that don't know or can't interact with people, I feel like that's not the right image. I know a lot of people who are also introverts like myself, but they can go out and interact in society. It's just, honestly, it takes a lot of effort to push ourselves to get out that way. Like for me, I'm starting to settle into making recordings and not feeling foolish about it. And if you've been following me for a long time, perhaps you can feel within my speaking that I'm much more comfortable being able to do this, but it still takes a lot of effort. And when I'm done with my recordings and my editing, it does take a lot out of me, and I feel like I have to crawl back into a little cave for a while just to regain some energy for the next outing, you know? If any of you guys feel the same way, I would love to know it. And you can show me that you are such by hitting that like button. It's easier to hit an anonymous counter and instead of putting a comment, because you're putting yourself out there with a comment, and I wouldn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable by being an introvert and not wanting to put something out there for the world to see, but still want to make their voice heard. So a lot easier to just hit the like button. And if you're over there, you may as well hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Maybe even the bell, just because, typical YouTuber stuff. However, when Charles passed, I kept getting invitations. He had so many friends, and I hated the idea of letting him down more than the idea of being in a room filled with people I don't care about. So I started going. Ha! Listen to me. That was certainly more than you asked for. Now what about you? What made you want to come to Paris? I came here because I'll do anything for love. I was sick of my life in the country. I wanted to get away. I've always dreamed of being in Paris. It's a city at the center of the world. Well, she did say that she actually did love him, or does love him. I guess that is still yet to be determined. But she came initially and is still here because she loves him. But at this point, with what we've been through, I don't know that I feel like he loves us enough that we, to deserve our love, but we did come here for love. You left everything behind and traveled far away, all for love? Honorade smiles distantly and runs her hand along the satin cushion that she's sitting on. I like that. You have gained some favor with Madame Gazelle. You're ruled by your passions. Some things aren't in vogue in this age of reason, but I feel like if one is going to be controlled by anything, it should be love. The journey to your home in Paris lasts for a long time, but it doesn't feel that way. Honorade plays the part of hostess wonderfully, always managing to guide the conversation in a satisfying direction. Unlike so many other of the persons you've met in Paris, she seems completely uninterested in polite small talk, focusing instead on more interesting subjects. Love and loss, pain and transgression. Sorry, passion and transgression. Was that a Freudian slip? I don't know. I'm not Freud. You barely notice it when the carriage arrives at your home. Without interrupting you, Honorade signals to René. The coachman silently hops from his box at the head of the carriage and opens your door for you. Honorade offers her hand to help you up as you get out of your seat. When you take her hand, you find yourself looking into her eyes. Yvette, may I ask you to do something for me? Certainly. I mean, she's been so nice so far, and, not only did she give us a ride home, and, at first it was kind of creepy what she said, oh, we could be going anywhere and you wouldn't even know it. But at the end, she had honest, heartfelt conversation with things that mattered to her, and not just how's the weather? Oh, okay, yeah, and what do you do for work? And oh, yeah. She actually had a conversation, and I feel like probably maybe they bonded a little bit. So I don't think it's too much to just say, yeah, tell me what you need. When I introduced myself earlier, I told you to call me Honorade. Now that I've spoken with you a little more, I've had a change of heart. I would much prefer if you called me Madame Gazelle when you addressed me. Really? Oh, was this a, what's the name? What do they call it? Well, essentially a fake name. Was this a facade? Was this an image that you were putting up just in case, as a social barrier, just in case you didn't like this person? Would you be comfortable with that? Yes, Madame Gazelle. Marvelous. Merveilleuse? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be French for marvelous. She helps you down from the carriage and into the street in front of your house. Hopefully, we shall meet again soon. Bonne nuit? Bonne nuit? Yeah, maybe bonne nuit, Yvette. She says to you before René closes the carriage door. Soon, with the crack of his whip overhead, the coachman spurs the horses into action, and the carriage winds through the streets and disappears into the night. You've gained some favor with Madame Gazelle. You turn to your home and see that Camille is already there, holding the door open for you. Who is that? She asks. A wealthy widow with a fondness for helping strangers. She's kind in her own way. A very intriguing woman, one that I'm hoping to see more of. I don't think that, given the experience that we have of actually having a heart-to-heart with her and, having a great conversation with her, I don't think that the operative word here would be wealthy. I think she would be like intriguing and one to see more of because she seems like she's cool people's and maybe even possibly a future friend. Intriguing woman for sure because she kind of started off very defensive, very guarded, and then at the end she was like, "You know what, Yvette, you're cool peoples. So tell you what, I'll give you my real name. You can call me Madame Gazelle." And I was like, you know what? That's cool. I understand that. Just in case. It's like, if you're a woman at the bar and a man hits on you, or I guess a woman also possibly, and you don't want to have anything to do with it, and you kind of just go like, they're like keep hounding you for your number, and you just give them a fake number. Kind of like that. Or, if you're uh, out, what, on vacation or in the club, and you give somebody a fake name because you think, I'm never going to talk to this person again. But then, you sit down and you have a good time and you go, you know what? I like you. So, you know what? Here's my real name. Here's my actual contact info. Hit me up. Your mind brimming with new possibilities, you step inside and head upstairs. Slowly, you get undressed and open your journal to record exactly what transpired tonight. Okay, so we lost a little bit of novelty because we wore the dress already. So, let's see. Cheap crown gossip. The queen was recently seen bedecked in a spectacularly new diamond necklace. Is it a sign of royal power or unnecessary excess? So we lost 25 credibility overall. We lost 2 favor with Elizabeth, but we gained 8 favor with Honorade. Okay, well, overall, credibility did not go past 0. I don't know who Elizabeth is, but Madame Gazelle, she seems like cool people, so I think we're going to continue in that direction. Chapter 1, Establishing Oneself. Alright, so here we go, guys. I guess all of that was prologue. So now that we're in the actual Chapter 1, I think what we're going to do is we're going to stop here. I am very intrigued with what is going on right now, and this character of Madame Gazelle, I like her. She's cool people's. I feel like, I don't know, I relate to her, and I want to see us become fast friends. And she was willing to help out. So even though she had all these riches, I mean, for one, she was living very luxuriously because her husband was like, hey, you know what? I got money. You can live how you want. I appreciate that. As a person that is very similar like that, if I hit the lottery, I would probably be doing something very similar. In any case, I think what we will do is we'll stop here now that we've explored, explored our first character that we're moving in the direction toward. So we will continue on to see what else transpires, and if we see any more characters that maybe either try to take away our concentration or our our ambition, I guess in relation to the name of the game. So I don't know, we'll see. But so far, I'm liking Madame Gazelle. I feel like she's the direction I want to go toward, just because she's cool. I don't know. Do you guys like her? Is there somebody else that would have been better, in your opinion? I don't know. There was that priest guy, and I guess there was someone from the military. Depending on how things go, maybe we'll go back and we'll take a look at those characters. Or maybe we meet them later. I don't know. But in any case, what we'll do is we'll stop here. I hope you guys will come back for the next one, and I will hope to see you there. Until then, bye.